Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. This is Market Today. I'm Sakshi Batra. With me is Shail Bhatnagar. Well, the Indian stock markets continued their upward journey for the second consecutive day on Tuesday, with the Nifty reclaiming its position above 25,000 mark as well. The mid-cap index definitely outperformed yesterday, which helped the Nifty also to end at 25,041. We've seen most of the sectoral indices support the markets yesterday, including the Nifty Bank index also that was up by about 155 points in trade to close the day at 51,272 odd levels. Now, as far as the broader markets are concerned, they supported the sentiments. It was the IT space, the FMCG, Pharma space, all of those supported the sentiments, including the consumer durables that were also up and about. As we move in today, of course, a whole host of details will be taken in from the cues from the Wall Street and the Asian markets as well. Remember, things are heating up as far as the US presidential elections are concerned, with the debate happening between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, and of course all the indications that will flow in over the next few days, and all eyes will again be on the inflationary front and what the US Fed really does. So we will be looking forward to an action-packed day. Good morning to all our viewers, and good morning, Shail.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are smack in the middle of the week. It's Wednesday. The sky in Delhi is completely overcast. The temperature of the market should also be matching that level as far as markets are concerned, for two reasons. While we start with the regular chart of the Nifty, I'd like to draw your attention on two things. One is crude oil prices that have slumped below levels of December 2021. Brent futures are below $70 a barrel. Remember, on July 1st, they were at $86 a barrel. Yesterday, OPEC, which is the central bank of the global central bank for oil producing nations, released its monthly reports, and the kind of demand that is being contracted from China is now driving prices lower. This is the weekly chart of crude oil futures that I have presented for you, and this, ladies and gentlemen, while for the short term is extremely positive for oil marketing companies such as HPCL, BPCL and Indian Oil Corporation, I'm also hopeful that you just might see a cut in pump prices in India, which means that petrol and diesel will be cheaper. As it is, we have state elections ahead, and BJP at the center is at the back foot, so you just might see some benefits seeping in. But for the long term equity holder, falling crude oil prices are not good at all. They signal a slowing economy, and over time rising crude oil prices have witnessed rising equity markets, and a drop in crude oil prices, especially to levels that have been seen about 28 to 29 months ago, are not at all conducive to global equities. So you just might, over a period of time, see this hectic activity turning into a sell-off globally. Let us see what happens. But two important events ahead globally. We are looking next week for the rate cut scenario in the Wall Street panning out between September 15th and September 19th. So these are the broader things that I have in mind, and I wanted to share this, particularly, Sakshi, today being the 23rd anniversary of the 9/11 attacks on the Twin Towers in the US. While world history doesn't repeat itself, it certainly does rhyme. So please keep these crude oil prices right at top of your radar. What will benefit is oil marketing companies and paint companies, but what will be negative is ONGC and Oil India. With that background in mind, let's come back to our domestic markets. We'll again start with the chart of the Nifty and the Bank Nifty, ladies and gentlemen. After 2 days of hectic gains, let's hope today is a consolidating move. Remember, the Bank Nifty has its weekly expiry today, and it has done a fantastic 2.5% up move over the last 5 sessions, in which the 100-day exponential moving average was tested, and it then moved above that. It is now above 21 EMA. There is good traction in Axis Bank, ICICI Bank, to some extent even Kotak and IndusInd Bank, but what remains quiet is HDFC Bank and SBI. Therefore, not much is expected. I would imagine you will have a flat expiry on Nifty Bank today, 51,272. Three IPOs that were open for subscription, Bajaj Housing, Cross Limited and Tolin Tires, have their last day today, and it's the second day of PN Gadgil Jewellers IPO to be open. So action and thought will be concentrated on that market as well, and of course we'll be keeping eye out on stocks such as Asian Paints, Kansai Nerolac, Berger Paints, and of course Indigo Paints, which benefit from dropping crude oil prices. There are no negative cues coming in from gold, bonds or the dollar index, and that is how the general market is as far as Indians are concerned. Cues are modest, and let's hope that this uptick rises for the third day in a row and we retain 25,000 as far as bulls are concerned. Sakshi, what's the update that is coming in from Wall Street, and what have our foreign friends done?
Absolutely. So, Shail, on Tuesday, we've actually seen the Wall Street, ending mixed right ahead of two very important inflationary numbers that will have a bearing on the US Federal Reserve's interest rate decision next week. We've seen the S&P 500 recovered about 50 points from the day's low. The Nasdaq also saw about a 225-point recovery. Both these indices ended with gains, although the Dow Jones ended about 100 points lower at about 0.2% lower in trade. But this was not before recovering 300 points from the lows of the session as well. Remember, it's the US presidential debate that is the talk of the town in the US right now. Donald Trump and Kamala Harris have clashed over economy, abortion, and even trade talks as well. Some of the key highlights, as both of these have appeared in the first televised debate between each other, have accused each other of being weak and lying in the first debate too. In the closings, Harris said that she's focused on the future as Trump counters by calling the US a failing nation. They battled over Afghanistan. Harris criticizes him meeting with the Taliban and says that Biden administration blew the pullout deal that he had corrected. On Israel, Trump said that there will be no war if he was the president. Harris calls for a two-state solution and end to the warring situations right there. So look at all of these. Of course, people will be decoding what their statements really meant, and of course that will bring out all the indications from the US Fed. Also, because I think although some of the fine prints will have to be read to find out whether there was a talk about how interest rates should be going forward from here. That will be the most important key takeaway for us as well. But, of course, apart from this, we've actually seen the Asian markets also. The Nikkei shed about 0.7% in the early morning trading session. Topix was about 0.8% lower. So they also wobbled with the mixed trend that they actually saw from the Wall Street too. South Korea's Kospi slipped about 0.2% in trade as well. While the Kosdaq however rose by about 1.6%. We've seen Hang Seng drop by about 1.6%. The SSE composite down by about 0.7% as well. The Gift Nifty is now indicating a softer start at 25,067 odd levels as well. Let's look at what the overseas investors have done. They've remained net buyers of the Indian equities for the second consecutive day. Foreign investors have mopped up equities worth about 2,208 crore rupees. Domestic institutional investors, however, turned net sellers after 6 sessions. They have offloaded equities worth about 275 odd crore rupees as well. Brent crude oil prices, as Shail you've also marked, fell below $70 a barrel for the first time since December 2021. And this is following OPEC's second downward revision of its demand forecast in 2 months as well. Now, of course, keeping an eye out on some of the stocks right there. With the falling crude oil prices, shares of oil manufacturing companies will be in focus. Paint companies will also be in focus, so keep an eye out there. And IRIDA will be in focus. The establishment of IRIDA Global Green Energy Finance IFSC in a strategic initiative to expand IRIDA's international footprint to unlock new business opportunities could actually be seen positive. Yesterday also we saw a 4.5% uptick on the stock. Tata Motors will be in focus. The CCI has approved the merger of Tata Motors Finance and Tata Capital. Hindustan Zinc will be in focus. Both HZL and Skipper have partnered for India's heaviest transmission steel pole structure weighing around 200 tons. CAT will be in focus. India Ratings and Research has revised the outlook on the company to positive from stable. Ramco Systems will be in focus. The company has announced the launch of Aviation Software 6.0 for smarter aircraft management. SpiceJet will be in focus. The company or the airline has reached a deal with Carlyle Group's commercial aviation unit to write off a $40.2 million payment obligation and a $30 million conversion of the arrears into equity. This move could actually increase Carlyle's stake in SpiceJet and could be a boost for the airline's financial stability. Maruti Suzuki will be in focus. The company is gearing up to launch its first EV in January of 2025. It now plans to address key consumer concerns, including charging infrastructure and resale value, all of those as well. So keep an eye out on these developments. Reliance Industries will be in focus. Reliance Retail Ventures, the retail business of Reliance Industries, has formed a 50-50 joint venture with Delta Galil Industries to enhance the apparel offerings in India. This partnership aims to bring in innovative, intimate and active wear products to the Indian markets. Century Textiles will also be in focus. The Aditya Birla Group company has acquired a 10-acre land parcel in Mumbai with significant development potential from the Wadia Group. The deal boosts the company's landholding and booking value potential too. From the hospitality space, Lemon Tree will be in focus. The company has signed a license agreement with a new property. So Lemon Tree Hotel, Mira Road, Mumbai, it's scheduled to open on in FY26. This hotel will have 108 rooms, so keep an eye out on that too. Banking names, HDFC and Axis Bank could be in focus. Both the banks have been penalized by the RBI for various regulatory non-compliances. 1 crore penalty for HDFC Bank, 1.9 crore penalty for Axis Bank. There could be some negative reaction right there. Coal India, the company is set to invest approximately 67,000 crores in development of coal-fired power plants near its mining operations. This move that includes 4.7 gigawatts of plant generation capacity over the next 6 to 7 years underscores the ongoing reliance on coal for India's power needs. So keep an eye out on all of these stocks right there. Shail.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll also look at auto majors in great detail. There is a downgrade on Tata Motors simply because the inventory keeps on piling up, and the company has over a series of days announced a lot of discounts to remove that inventory. Remember, unless that inventory moves away from dealerships, you can't flush into new products for the selling festive season that is coming in. And a little more bothersome is how rating agencies are now downgrading the borrowing limits and zones of dealerships, car dealerships. So keep this space in mind. Tata Motors and Maruti in particular, they are the top two players as far as domestic markets are concerned in the passenger and the commercial vehicle segment, and both of them haven't given any hope to investors when it comes to monthly sales numbers. We are waiting for Mr. Gaurang Shah, Senior Vice President for Geojit Financial Services, to join us, and a little later we'll have Osho Krishnan, Senior Research Analyst for Technicals and Derivatives at Angel One. This is as good a time as any to check out the 5-day performance as far as markets are concerned on the banking side. Please keep an eye out on AU Bank. This is the top performing stock, up 4.5% over the last 5 trading sessions, and in the same breath keep SBI and Canara Bank on your radar. Both of them have fallen 4.2 and 4.8% respectively. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the background where we start our markets on, and welcoming Gaurang Shah, Senior Vice President, Geojit Financial Services, on the show. नमस्ते गौरांग जी, शुभ प्रभात और बहुत बहुत स्वागत आपका। हफ्ते के बिल्कुल मध्यम में हम लोग खड़े हैं और पिछले 2 दिन से आपने एक अच्छा मोमेंटम आते देखा बाज़ार में। निफ्टी ने वापस 25,000 पर कब्ज़ा किया, लेकिन अब कमज़ोरी दिख रही है क्रूड ऑयल प्राइसेस में। क्या ये एक लंबी अवधि के लिए नेगेटिव है ग्लोबल इक्विटी मार्केट्स के लिए, या जिस हिसाब से हम लोग रैली में चल रहे हैं तो हमारे लिए तो अच्छा ही है?
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद शैल भाई, आपको, साक्षी को और बीटीटीवी के सभी दर्शकों को प्रणाम और शुभ प्रभात हमारे तरफ से। तो कच्चा तेल निचले स्तर पर आता है तो हमारे लिए तो मेरे ख्याल से ये बहुत ही सकारात्मक बात है, क्योंकि आज के तारीख में कि अगर आप देखें तो मेरे ख्याल से करीबन 70-75% जो हमारी ऊर्जा की जरूरत है वो हम विदेशी मुल्कों से आयात करते हैं, इंपोर्ट करते हैं। और ऑयल पुल अकाउंट डेफिसिट भी एक बहुत ही अहम मुद्दा है जहां तक सरकार का वित्तीय घाटे का प्रश्न उठता है। और दूसरी तरफ अगर आप देखने जाए तो जिस प्रकार से खाड़ी देशों में संकट हो रहा है शैल भाई, मेरे ख्याल से बुद्धिमत्ता का प्रयोग करके विश्व भर की जो बड़ी बड़ी संस्थाएं हैं उनको थोड़ा आत्मचिंतन करना चाहिए कि आपने एक तो ईरान पर प्रतिबंध लगा दिया जो कि पूरे विश्व में कच्चे तेल का दूसरा सबसे बड़ा उत्पादन करता है और चौथे स्तर पर आता है ईरान जहां तक नेचुरल गैस का सवाल है। फिर आपने कुछ दिक्कत और लेके आई, लिबिया में आपने पाबंदी लगा दी, आपने वेनेजुएला में पाबंदी लगा दी और अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर में कच्चे तेल की ऊर्जा की मांग बढ़ रही थी। तो मैं मानता हूं कि हमारे लिए सकारात्मक बात है क्योंकि हम जिस प्रकार से आयात इंपोर्ट करते हैं उसके लिए। दूसरी तरफ शायद वित्तीय घाटा सक्षम रूप से अच्छे स्तर पर लाने में ये सहायता कर सकता है। अनिवार्य होगा शैल जी देखने के लिए कि खाड़ी देशों में जिस प्रकार से संकट खड़ा है वो किस प्रकार का मोड़ लेता है, क्या और आक्रामक होता है जिसकी वजह से कच्चे तेल में उबाल फिर से आ सकता है। लेकिन एक समय था शैल जी, आपको पता है $30 प्रति बैरल भी दाम थे कच्चे तेल के। ब्रेंट $30 पहुंचा था और नाइमेक्स मेरे ख्याल से $26 प्रति बैरल या $28 प्रति बैरल पहुंचा था। और बड़े बड़े लोग आपको ये बता रहे थे कि कच्चे तेल के दाम खाड़ी में जो संकट हो रहा है उसको लेकर के $150 के पार जा सकते हैं। $100 के पार भी नहीं गया और आज मेरे ख्याल से $65 ब्रेंट है और $60 के आसपास नाइमेक्स खड़ा है। तो मैं तो मानता हूं एक अच्छी बात है, सिर्फ एक ही है, ऑयल एक्सप्लोरेशन कंपनीज के लिए थोड़ी दिक्कत खड़ी कर सकता है।
Very good morning to you, Gaurang ji, and thank you so much for taking the time out. I wanted to first begin by understanding from you if you've heard a part of the debate that was ongoing in the US presidential debate, the first televised debates that's taken place. And are there any indications that you already have as to what may be coming as to the election results are concerned between Trump and Harris, and what will be good for Indian markets? I think that's what everybody is now looking at.
Well, honestly, Sakshi, thank you so much and morning to you as well. Whether it is elections in India or whether there is election in any part of the world, I think in today's complex world, it is very difficult to gauge the direction as to which way the votes are going to votes are going to swing, and who's going to be the final winner out of the rat race that we are seeing. It happened in our country also just some time back, the way the situation evolved. And more importantly, I think ex-President Donald Trump, the kind of statements that he's making against his rival Kamala Harris, it's rather unfortunate. But I believe in election, everything is fair in love and war. Be it that way, we'll have to wait for, I think it is 4th or 5th November, the date when we'll come to know the outcome of the election in the United States of America. Will that have a meaningful impact on our economy and markets? Well, economy I can't say because it depends upon who becomes the president finally and who wins the election. But as far as equity markets are concerned, I don't think we'll take it in its strides. We have seen many elections internally and as well as globally. And every time it's done and dusted, we get back to the basics and the core of the markets and growth story. So I think it will be possibly a knee-jerk reaction, but I will totally fail to put any kind of an assumption as to who's going to win the rat race.
Right. Whoever wins the rat race, one thing is for sure, US-India relations, whether it's in the economic space or the defense space or the diplomatic space, are headed for a higher trajectory year on year, and this is neutral to the kind of parties or individuals that are in power. Now let's get to stock hunting, Gaurangji. We've had a nice decent dip from 25,333 to 24,760, a bit of a recovery after that. What looks good? Do PSUs shine on your radar because of the kind of correction that they have seen over the last 2 months? Do public sector banks still make sense? What is on your buy list?
Well, Shell, so I believe the correction that we saw from 25,300 to 24,760, it was well taken by the markets, and it was also a need of the hour. And I always, you Shell, you know me. I mean, I have always been advocating after a decent upside, you should see some correction,
Yes.
you should see some consolidation, you should see some profit booking. That enables the market to become very healthy. Healthy in the sense the upside trajectory becomes much more visible and clear, Shell. Uh, and how much did we correct from 25,300 to 24,760? If you look at in terms of percentage, Shell, it is hardly anything. But there were a lot of people, and even before that, if you actually go to Swiss Cell, I think people were talking about 23,500 and 23,000. I don't know what to say to those people because I only do namaskar to them, and I think about what my thought processes are. In terms of investment idea, you one sector, Chell, you know us, we've been positive for more than 2 years, and that is IT. And yesterday, I believe there were certain reports, and even before that, we saw the IT index attain an all-time high, lifetime high. So IT is going to be in the focus. Our sense is, Shell, that from second half of financial year 25, that is from third quarter onwards, the improvement in earnings is going to pick up. The run rate is going to pick up, and you might see much more re-rating in terms of targets on the higher side. PSUs, you mentioned, PSU banks, I think post the report last week, PSU banks have been under pressure, and we believe State Bank of India, Canara Bank, Union Bank of India, Bank of Baroda, PNB are some of the great investment ideas. Indian Bank, including oil marketing companies, though the run up because of the crude oil prices correcting has been there, but oil exploration companies also ONGC, BPCL, likewise. Defense play has been always positive. BEL looks extremely attractive from a long-term point of view, sure.
Okay. Right, so that's the kind of view that's coming in. The auto space will be in again focus, and Gaurangji, I want your views on that, especially when we have been seeing concerns of inventory built up, huge discounts coming in from various players. For Tata Motors especially, it was on the ICE vehicles first, and then it's come on to the EVs as well. Discounts of up to 3 lakh rupees, price cuts coming in as well. And post that, we've actually seen UBS slashing the target price of Tata Motors and giving a sell rating right there with a target of 825. They believe that JLR discounts are spiking, and they're talking about whether investors should be looking at worry at this point in time. Even Range Rover Sports, there is a sharp discount as well. Even the domestic markets, we've seen a sharp discount. So how are you looking at all of these reports, sir?
I don't look at them. Honestly, Sakshi. And I think our good friend Shail has witnessed 250, 300 was the level wherein we've been recommending Tata Motors, and it
Yes.
was not very long time ago. And I wonder, reading this reports, how many people are going to take a sell side position? 800 rupees they are talking about. So let's wait and watch. I think give them the advantage for their brilliance that they are exhibiting. Uh, I would continue to hold on, and if there is the downside, we have fundamental coverage. See, as far as discounts are concerned, Sakshi, let us understand we are approaching a huge, long period of festive season. Yes, the numbers as far as the Federation of Automobile Dealers Association (FADA) came out with an inventory number, which was a little bit of eye popper. I was also surprised with that, but nobody's putting their overdrive gear into a reverse mode in terms of launches. And in the next very few months, I think couple of weeks before the festive season, you are going to see whole host of launches happening. And where in the earth is the kind of slowdown? Okay, month on month numbers, I would take it with a pinch of salt because some months are lower, some months are as per expectation, and in some months it is above expectation. But we maintain positive stance on the auto sector. And I think there is going to be a great growth story with government policies being in place.
Right, Gauranga, this is also a sign from God that your existing vehicle needs to be replaced and you need to buy a Range Rover. This is just the right opportunity. All the discounts are coming in, and festive season is ahead. Just go for it after you finish our interview and buy the car of your choice. But coming back to Pharma, some of the most fantastic moves and predictable moves have happened in Pharma, and I have regularly asked you this question over the last 4 instances that we've met. Is the market looking toppish as far as Pharma stocks are concerned, or do you still find value, and if yes, where?
Well, the speed breakers in the pharma universe are in form of Form 483 and establishment inspection report, or any kind of observations in terms of irregularities as far as the production is concerned. Other than that, I think we've got some of the pharmaceutical companies have got very decent approvals and launches. They have lined up many more launches locally and globally. Shail. Pharma, I was under the impression that post-COVID and the kind of recovery and the restrictions getting lifted off, and the way normalcy started coming a way of life, possibly there was a pause for some time, but the fact still remains, Shail, that India was, is, and will always remain pharmacy to the world, and that's not going to go away anytime sooner or later. So you need to be okay. Some stocks which have run up will witness profit booking, not only in pharma but across the sectors. Whichever stocks have run up will see a brief period of profit booking. But does that mean that you should have to change your philosophy in terms of investment into these stocks? I don't think so. So we remain positive on Sun Pharma, Dr. I think yesterday there was some report about some restrictions, some bill getting approved by US, wherein 5 companies were named in China, wherein restrictions will put in place over a period of time, and advantage Indian pharmaceutical companies is going to be there, and that's one of the reasons why some of these stocks were in the spotlight, which had that kind of dependency, CDMO drugs especially. So positive, yes, definitely. Profit booking short term cannot be ruled out, but long term we remain constructive. Sun Pharma, Dr. Reddy's, Divi's Laboratories, Cipla, Zydus Life, Zydus Wellness, Aurobindo, Natco Pharma, Glenmark Life. These are the names in the pharma universe, but I will also in the same breath say that you have to interlink diagnosis as well as hospitals, that is healthcare. So we have Dr. Lal Path Labs in the diagnosis, and we discussed Apollo Hospital last time, Narayan Rudalaya and Fortis Healthcare.
Right. Let's focus on the pre-open, ladies and gentlemen. We have a 51-point uptick, and we will happily take that with open arms. Remember, it's the weekly expiry of the Bank Nifty today. So let's start with what is ICICI Bank doing. Flat, 75 paisa higher, 1238. Axis Bank is almost 3 rupees higher, 1190. Kotak is buzzing with 11 rupees uptick, 1802. And what is deeply in the green? Hindustan Unilever, 9 rupees 40 higher, 2908. Now let's look at the 2 heavyweights. What is Reliance doing? So far flat, 2923. And HDFC Bank flat again, 1650. Tata Motors is slipping, 11 rupees lower, 1024. Perhaps this is the impact of the brokerage report that we just discussed on air. Let's now focus on where money is moving, and money is moving in style. Gaurang is here, therefore Pharma. Medant, this is a hospital chain working out of Gurgaon, also called Global Health. 3.7% higher, 1170. Pyramid Pharma Limited, 3.7% higher, 240. Narayan Hirdale and Kim's. This is a space that Gaurang just discussed, and Vijaya Diagnostics. So Pharma in top shape. Let's look at what is being done on the OMC space. In the Petro, look no further. 4.2% higher at 430. Let's take a detour into what is happening in terms of some other price moves as far as the FNO space is concerned. The Nifty is now up 32 points. In terms of gainers, ladies and gentlemen, it's oil all the way. So look at the positive impact of falling crude oil prices. Pidilite 1.35% higher, 32.75. Indian Oil Corporation 1.4% higher, 178. Berger Paints 1.2% higher, BPCL 1.2% higher, and of course you have Pharma all the way. So this is how it is, a bit of a skittish move in the broader market, but Pharma and OMCs are doing pretty well. Gaurang, coming to you. Again, my apologies, I'm harping upon this crude oil theme. Given the sharp fall in crude oil prices, do you see retail pump prices across India maybe seeing a cut that will help local inflation, that will help RBI, and that will possibly also help the elections that are now on our head as far as Maharashtra, Haryana, J&K and Jharkhand are concerned?
Well, one lollipop was already given by Maharashtra state government in terms of reduction of petrol and diesel prices just some time back, Shell. And I think these lower prices globally, as far as Brent and NYMEX is concerned, I think it should entice not only the government at the center but also at state level to give further benefit of lower crude oil prices. I think it will only go down well, because we've seen elevated crude oil prices, petrol, so I beg your pardon, we've seen elevated petrol and diesel prices right from the time pandemic hit the entire world and us. And that was one of the reasons why we saw an incremental increase by state and central government at various levels for retailing of petrol and diesel per liter prices. Now from those levels, we've seen some kind of cuts come through. I think state elections will also be an opportunity for respective states and governments to give benefit, and I hope that the central government also does the whatever is necessary. But I'll be more excited as and when petrol and diesel and other energy related prices come under GST. That will be a big game changer, Shell.
Okay, noted that. Gaurang, the other theme that has started to perform is the entire FMCG theme. We've seen how HUL has quietly climbed to record high levels. ITC is now coming back in action. We are also seeing Dabur, Marico's of the world also now beginning to perform. Should one be increasing their exposure to these FMCG stocks in this current market setup?
So I think, Sakshi, FMCG is one sector under our research universe which has almost about 8 to 10 companies or maybe a dozen companies.
Mm-hmm.
And we remain extremely constructive as far as the consumption story is concerned. And more importantly, I think the push in terms of volumes from semi-urban and rural India is going to be better than what the estimates are, purely because of the good monsoon that we've seen and the budgetary benefits that will be given to agri sector and especially to semi-urban and rural India. There were certain news flows in terms of HUL for their ice cream business, and we saw a rally, and that had a positive impact on other FMCG companies as well. So and of course, lower crude oil prices also benefits FMCG company to a certain extent. Right from HUL to ITC to Tata Consumer to Godrej Consumer to Dabur, Marico, Britannia, Nestle. I hope I'm not forgetting any other name. We remain extremely positive on all these names. And, like for Pharma, I was mentioning to Shell that India is pharmacy to the world. Similarly, India is and will be a consumption-driven story.
Okay, got it. Let's also focus on one more stock, Irida, that will be back in focus. Remember, yesterday the stock was already up for 4.5%, and there is this further news that the company's establishment of Irida Global Green Energy Finance IFSC, a strategic initiative to expand Irida's presence globally too. That's pulled up the stock even further higher to 2.5% up. Quickly, Gaurang, if you could help us understand renewable energy space, stocks like Irida which have had a one-way move from the price of 32 odd, but do they still have steam enough going forward from here?
Well, so purely on the commentary of the management and the order book and the opportunities that lies ahead with India expanding its power production capacities. IREDA primarily is a company which provides assistance, financial assistance for creating a new power generating capacity. Uh, and the order book is extremely strong. I was listening to the management about a couple of weeks back. They they did sound extremely confident about the business. So in the IPO, we had given a subscribe to IRDA from a long term point of view, and we have continued that keeping the base of our IPO note. So I think there is a lot more that you can see in terms of upside for the stock.
Absolutely, and from a high of 310, IREDA has so far corrected down to somewhere like 225. Over the last two sessions, it's added about 6.5%. We'll be keeping an eye out on this very high beta counter. Mr. Osho Krishnan, Senior Research Analyst for Technicals and Derivatives at Angel One, joins us. Good morning, Osho. A very warm welcome to you, sir. Two stocks that you think will be outperformers in today's trade, where we see the bank Nifty's weekly expiry and the Nifty up for the second day. What are your thoughts?
Very good morning. Firstly, the two trades which are looking very positive to me, one is from the FMCG space. Godrej Consumers product is looking very positive. It is on the verge of giving a breakout around the zone of 1510 odd level. So I'm expecting that the time it surpasses the zone of 1510, we can see a very decisive upsurge in Godrej CP. So Godrej CP is a buy recommendation for a higher target of nearly 1580. While on the lower end, I am expecting 1470 to be seen as a stop loss for short-term trader. The other counter, which is again looking very positive, is CESC. Yesterday, we have seen approximately 4.5 to 5% kind of a move and a very strong reversal from the 20-day exponential moving average. So I'm expecting that the uptrend should continue in this counter. This counter has been in a cycle of higher highs, higher lows, and it has reversed from the recent corrections from the higher zone of 210. So now onwards, I am expecting 210 to get retested in this counter. But again, the buying zone remains around the zone of 198 to 197. That will be the apt approach or apt levels to accumulate this counter. On the lower end, 191 should be kept as a stop loss.
Okay, got it. Well, apart from this, Osho, I'd like to ask you on Tata Motors, what will you do today? There have been some reports which have given a sell rating right there, but do you see the charts also weakening?
Definitely, if I have to see the technical, or I have to say about the technical perspective, then in the last few trading session, the counter has been into some kind of corrective phase, but today we are expecting a gap down opening, which again below the 100 exponential moving average and also below the previous swing low. So I'm expecting that the current momentum on the corrective phase could continue on the lower end, but not very much pessimism in this counter. I'm expecting nearly 970, 980 should be the very strong support, because technically also the counter have seen a decent cool off from the higher zone, and technical indicators have seen a decent correction also from the higher end. So I'm expecting approximately more 20 or 25 points kind of a move can be seen in this counter. But again, from a medium term perspective, this should be auguring very well, looking at the overall trajectory on the broader time frame.
9/11, ladies and gentlemen, on 9/11. Also a day where we remember the victims of the Twin Tower crisis that hit the US 23 years ago. So there is so much of rhyming in time that we see in front of us. Osho and Gaurangji, this question is both to you. Gaurang, to you first. Indigo, dropping crude oil prices, festive season ahead, absolutely no competition. In fact, whatever competition is there is now on the verge of death, if not already dead. How do you see Indigo at current levels? Two very good block deals happened over the last 2 months. Newer players have come in, and the stock refuses to buckle on profit booking. Gaurang, first you.
Other thing is, Shell, that on and off we've seen the partner offloading stake to a great extent, one of the partners. And very recently at 4,500 or thereabouts, there was one large deal that happened. We've maintained a constant fundamental buy side call on Interglobe Aviation, that is Indigo. And even when the IPO was there a couple of years back, we had given a subscribe recommendation. I remember it very, very clearly. I was reading a report yesterday which spoke about a duopoly in aviation sector like we have in the telecom sector. Whether the airline industry is also witnessing a duopoly, given the kind of financial condition of other airlines and given the history of failed takeoffs by other airlines and they crash landed, and we know the history, don't want to go into that. There are a lot of airports which are lined up, which will be opened in the next 5 to 10 years. Improving connectivity is one of the biggest themes that Udan 1 and Udan 2, which the government has rolled out the policy, has enabled connectivity to a great extent. Given the Interglobe's fleet size, given the market share and acquisition of new aircrafts, big and small, I think this particular company is poised to get the biggest advantage in terms of the growth of the Indian aviation sector. So we maintain a positive stance. You might see profit booking, but long term, hold on to it. And maybe you can buy on dips.
Osho, very quickly, charts of Indigo, you just have 30 seconds.
See, overall, again, charts are little bit overly stretched. It is on the technical parameters are quietly on the overbought terrain. But looking at the overall momentum in this counter, I expect the new momentum to continue only above the zone of 49.50. The time it surpasses the zone of 49.50, then we can see a continuation in the uptrend. Else, the consolidation breakout of the zone of 4,500 has reached the target of 48.50. So I'm expecting that there can be some kind of consolidation that should be considered healthy on time-wise correction phase.
Ladies and gentlemen, Wednesday is upon us. The opening quotes show the Nifty slipping 18 points lower. There's a 143 point downtick on Nifty 500, Nifty Bank, whose weekly expiry is today. A green tick on the IT and the Nifty 500. Let's very quickly look at the index heavyweights. Where do we see traction coming in on the green side? Okay. Infosys and TCS 10 rupees higher at 1923, TCS 20 rupees higher at 45.27. Okay, this is strength. Now where is weakness? How about Reliance? 3 rupees higher, 29.26. This is good because Reliance has corrected sharply over the last 4 or 5 trading sessions. Lever is in top form, 4 rupees higher, 29.03. Now what is slipping lower? Banks. ICICI Bank 5.5 rupees lower, Axis Bank 4 rupees lower, HDFC Bank 2 rupees lower, and you have Kotak 3 rupees down. Tata Motors, this is something that Osho will keep an eye out on. We'll get to him. Now slipping closer to the 1,000 rupee mark, 30 rupees lower, down 2.9%. Let's start with the good news, ladies and gentlemen. Oil marketing companies, HPCL 2.8% higher, BPCL 1.8% higher. Paints are putting a darker shade of green. Asian Paints 2% higher, Berger Paints 2% higher, Pidilite 1.4% higher. All signs of the party being enjoyed as far as falling crude oil prices are concerned. Let's look at the top gainers in NSE 500. Taking it away is the pharma space. Jubilant Pharmova 1.7% higher. PPL Pharma, which is the demerged entity of Piramal Enterprises, is now at a fresh high, 3% higher, 238. Suzlon taking it away, 2.7% higher. It's either paints or OMCs or news driven. Lemon Tree, they are opening a project in Mira Road in Mumbai, 1.8% higher, 133. Zomato, I had mentioned this yesterday, 1.5% higher, 272.20. Osho, to you quickly, where would you put in your first step? Either on OMCs or paint companies, or would you rather sell Tata Motors? Your first step into the markets on Monday, on Wednesday.
See, firstly, I'll be staying with the momentum. So, paints companies are looking very positive to me. There has been a continuous momentum in these counters. Overly, on technical perspective, these counters have seen some kind of higher momentum in the recent period, but I still expect that Asian Paint has the potential to test the zone of 3400. So, on positional basis, the target was approximately 3400, which is also the previous swing high. So, I expect that in the now maybe by today or maybe by tomorrow 3400 can be tested in Asian Paint, so it is still having some kind of room on the higher end. So paints company are looking very positive to me, and then followed by FMCG companies.
Okay, got it. Gaurangji, we'll bring you in right here. Paint companies for you, sir, and where exactly would you concentrate your focus? Do you think the time is right for bagging some of these stocks right ahead of the festive season too?
Well, so other than paint industries, like Shell was mentioning, tire manufacturing companies, FMCG, aviation, oil marketing companies, on the positive side, the one that will take a knock on the chin is the oil exploration companies. Paint sector, Sakshi, that you asked the question, well, we identified a big opportunity. I mean, as a disclosure, we had buy coverage on Asian Paints, but if you remember, uh, Grasim ventured into paint sector with a huge capacity. There was a lot of fear on the street that this competition is possibly going to kill the market share of other players. Opus Paints is the brand that Grasim has launched. Uh, Asian Paints incidentally corrected to 2700 at that point of time. We had a coverage before that. We maintained our positive coverage there, and the result is that today, from 2700 or thereabouts, that news of Grasim entering into paint industry via Opus Paints, from 2700 we are seeing Asian Paints at 3350. So that investment trade worked out very well. We continue to maintain a positive stance. Real estate sector doing well, augurs extremely well for paint, home decor, pipes and fittings, sanitary ware, even for the metals and cement, it augurs extremely well. High-end consumer durable appliances, it augurs extremely well. Other than Asian Paints, we like Kansai Narolak and Berger Paints. And my sense is that only real redecor of home every 3 5 years we normally do the rang rogan of our house
Yeah.
because of the fading of paints, etc., etc. And lower crude oil prices also benefits the paint sector.
Okay, we will continue to look at the paint space. The entire space seems to be buzzing with thick action right there. Throughout the course of the day, we will focus on that. Several other stocks within news which are reacting positively. I'll quickly mark. Goa Carbon is in focus. It's resumed the operations in Goa unit, and you can actually see the stock inching higher by almost 6.5% at 830 odd levels. So keep an eye out on that one. Ramco Systems is also in focus. Remember, I had marked earlier, the company has announced the launch of Aviation Software 6.0 for smarter aircraft management. The stock is up by 3.5% odd as well. Bombay Dyeing is in focus, 2.5% higher. It's acquired land in Worli for 440 odd crore rupees as well. So that's also in focus. Some of these stocks Premier Explosive and Astra Micro within the defense space. Keep an eye out here. So Premier Explosives has an MOU with Astra Micro, and both these stocks are up and about. This is to develop and to sell multiple products too. So 4.7% uptick being seen on Premier Explosives on that front as well. Gaurangji, do you also have coverage beyond the five Pandavs that you marked on the defense space for all our viewers? Time and again, within these mid-cap names like Astra Micro or a Premier Explosive, do you see a promise there too?
So Astra Macro is the one that we have fundamental coverage on.
Okay.
Sakshi, other than the names that I mentioned in terms of fundamentally strong companies with respect to the defense sector. So Astra Micro is under our positive coverage.
Okay, Shell tells me it's Suzlon that's rallying. Let's look at that stock too. There is a huge volume that is leading to sharp momentum in Suzlon as well. And it's now at a 4-week high. The Suzlon shares had hit a 5% uptake and upper circuit yesterday as well. It's now zoomed to 81.74. There is a digit change from 80 to 81. You can actually see yesterday it was around 79 odd levels. A sharp momentum being seen on Suzlon right now. Let's get Osho right here on Suzlon. Do you see the momentum further building up and carrying on?
Yes, looking at the technical chart of last trading session, there has been a positive crossover on the technical parameters, and that is also from the 20-day exponential moving average. So I expect that from here onwards, there can be a uptrend in this counter, but again on the higher end, the first resistance is around the zone of 83 to 84. So from here onwards, if we have to see a further movement, then this counter have to give a very authoritative breakout above the zone of 85, and then only we can see a further upside movement of approximately 8 to 10 points in this counter.
Let's discuss Suzlon in a bit detail, Sakshi. Yesterday, about 14.5 crore shares were traded, of which the delivery was for 6.9 crores. This is 2x the 5-day average, and almost 25-30% more than the 30-day average. Please keep an eye out on Suzlon. Sadly, it has a 5% circuit, but if you look at the real long-term trend on Suzlon, this is at a multi-year high, and for those with a bit of knowledge into the counter, there have been two developments. One, the company sold off its Pune headquarters for 440 crore rupees, took the same back on lease. There was another, I think, stake buy in some small firm, and at this level, Sakshi, we've seen the prices coming back to 2010 highs on the monthly chart. So keep an eye out on Suzlon. It's already up almost circuit limit, so nothing can be done, but this is something to be noted and to be acted upon. Two stocks I have been marking. One is Prism Johnson, now 216. Remember, it was up 20% yesterday, again 4% higher. Needless to say, this is a record high. There is Zomato, again a record high today. This is coming to you, Osho. Zomato, where is it headed? 445 crores worth of transactions already happening in the first 10 minutes of trade. This is a blowout.
See, definitely this counter has seen a very strong traction in the last 4 trading session that has seen a kind of a reversal on the daily time frame, and again the counter is inching towards its lifetime highs, and I guess for the first time, if it closes above 270, then it will be on the highest ever closing that also can be seen in this counter. So overall, the undertone is very much bullish. The fundamentals and the coverage has been positive for this counter, and the same implies with the technical chart. So I am expecting that from here onwards, this counter has the potential to test the zone of nearly 290 on a very short term perspective. So 290, one can definitely eye for this counter on the higher end, while on the lower end 255 to 60 is a very strong support for the counter.
Okay, got it. Well, it's a completely defensive market. IT, FMCG, Pharma, these are the 3 pockets that are still holding up beyond the broader markets, as you can see, which are actually in the green zone right now. I'll take this discussion a little further with Gaurang beyond FMCG space into the consumer durable space as well. Like I was saying earlier also, ahead of the festive season, the consumption demand is already rising for a whole host of segments. Be it white goods, be it the gems in the jewelry space as well. Do you think there will be enough and more traction here if one looks at to play the entire year-end or festive theme right now, Gaurang? And where would you advise to investors to keep their focus?
Well, so other than the festive trigger for the consumer durable or white good appliances, Sakshi, the fact is that 15-20 years back, you would find it very difficult to imagine to have a flat screen color TV or a microwave or a refrigerator or an AC in a house. After so many years, today if you go to see, it has become utmost necessity. You will find at least 3 of these 5 appliances in a house, or maybe you'll find all five if the affordability is there. More so, you have a huge recovery in terms of per capita income in semi-urban and rural India. That's also a place wherein people's wants and desires go to the next level in terms of getting all these appliances into their home. So we have coverage on Voltas currently on the buy side. Prior to some time, we had coverage on Blue Star, we had coverage on Whirlpool, we had coverage on uh, I forget the name, I beg your pardon, but yeah, currently we are positive on Voltas.
Okay, got it. Osho, would you also have a pick in any of these spaces as well? The consumer durable space today, I think there is a lot of traction that's coming back on, some of the white goods. Even yesterday, we saw a lot of momentum in Havells as well. So, where exactly would you be concentrating your focus?
See, obviously, there has been very strong traction in some of the counters like Havells, Astral yesterday for trading purpose. So Havells is on the verge of giving a breakout, but again, I'll be waiting for a decisive breakout beyond the zone of 1940. The time Havells seen a very strong breakout or a closer above 1940, then from there onwards, we can see a very strong up move. Initially, 2000 can be seen as the target, but overall, with the kind of consolidation it has seen in the last 3 months, I am expecting even 2100 to get tested in Havel. So this is one of the counters that is in my radar. And the time it gives a closer above 1940, definitely a buy for immediately 2000 kind of a target.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, we are at 9:29. The first 14-15 minutes of trade have lapsed. Let me just mark the record highs in a market which is either flat or in the red. And no surprises. Each day we update record highs on Pharma, and each day it blesses us with new stocks to track. Okay, PPL Pharma, which is Piramal Pharma, 4.5% higher, 241.50. Fortis, hospital chain, something that Gaurang has just marked, saying that you need to look at allied sectors related to pharma. So hospitals are doing very well, 2.7% higher, 3,20,000 is the volume on Fortis. Jubilant Pharma, almost 4 lakh shares traded. Counter is now in 4 digits, 1,029. Sun Pharma, a percent higher, 1850. This is the leading light of the pharma space, the most profitable and the largest company by market capitalization, profit and top line as far as pharma is concerned. And surprise, surprise, record high on ITC. Gaurang, ITC for you, one of the strongest proponents that you've been since 180 levels. Now the stock quietly but surely and certainly moving to fresher, greener and higher pastures.
I think, Shail, this is one stock which has proven all critics absolutely wrong, and they've fallen flat on their face. And I'm glad that I was on the opposite side as far as ITC was concerned. You are absolutely right, and I command your memory. 180 was the level that we identified the stock. We also mentioned that this will take time, but it is not a written off story. Please don't write obituaries on ITC because it is too early to do that. And our investment advice turned out right, currently at about 515-16 rupees. I think the stock is heading towards 575 to 580. Of course, those demerger stories that or rumors that do the round in the market is something that I really don't give too much of attention. But fundamentals look extremely, extremely positive. And like I was discussing a while back with Sakshi Shail, that India will remain a consumption-driven story.
Right, absolutely. Well, we'll thank you, Gaurang, on that note for being with us on this very special edition. It's always a pleasure to host you, and hope you stay well till the time we see you next with more bright ideas that you can share with all our viewers. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sakshi. Thank you, Shail. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, and we'll continue our discussion with Osho now. Osho Zomato for you, zooming ahead, 3.8% higher now at 277 odd levels. What's next for Zomato?
See, overall, as I have already covered, Zomato is looking very positive. Any closer beyond the zone of 270 will be arguing very well on the technical perspective. And I am assuming that 290 can be seen as the immediate target, short-term target for this counter. But historically, if we will be seeing the technical chart, there has been the cycle of higher highs, higher lows in this counter. So I expect that this should continue on the higher end. But for short-term traders, 290 can be seen as the first target, then we need to again review from the short term perspective. But obviously, from fundamental or long term, there are higher targets for this counter.
Okay, got it. So that's as far as Zomato is concerned. You know what else is moving at a fresh record high is again from the consumption basket that we've been discussing. Godrej Consumer Products is moving sharply higher, 1.5% higher. It's at a fresh record high and it's also buzzing in the F&O space as well. Let's get Osho to help us understand on Godrej Consumer. How are you looking at the charts right there?
See, overall, Godrej Consumer is looking very positive to me. 1510, which was the previous closing high, that has been breached today, and I'm expecting that from here onwards, there can be a strong momentum that can be seen in this counter. Overall, technical perspectives are looking very positive. We have witnessed a fresh breakout today, so I'm expecting nearly again 1580 kind of a target from short-term perspective in this counter. While on the lower end, 1470, 1480 should be acting as a very strong cushioning for any kind of profit booking in the coming periods.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, 9:33. Let's mark some unusual stocks. And before I do that, Sakshi, one note on Zomato, ladies and gentlemen. Swiggy, the unlisted competitor of Zomato, has increased the size of its IPO offering, and that essentially means that there is more demand coming in from institutional players. And what is the best way to play that demand? Buy a listed competitor. तो जब जब तक स्विगी का आईपीओ की आपको खबर आती हुई दिखेगी, पॉजिटिव खबर, उसका सबसे अनुकूल असर जोमेटो पर आता हुआ दिखेगा. Already a record high, and as Osho has mentioned, you will also see a digit change happening on Zomato. Sakshi, we've been tracking Bajaj Auto for now months together. I remember marking it at 5,500 rupees. It's now 2.2% higher. In fact, it's the second top contributor on the Nifty when it comes to points. 6 points to Nifty's positivity, although Nifty is down 20 points. What's happening here, Osho? Bajaj Auto, before the festive season began, said that they want to sell 100,000 EV two-wheelers each month in this festive season. What are the charts of Bajaj Auto telling you?
See, on technical perspective, Bajaj Auto is obviously on a very overbought terrain, because the time we have seen a very strong breakout around the zone of 10,000, that is where we were expecting that there can be a decent up move in this counter. But there has been a very strong vertical rally. In the last 5 days, the counter was showcasing some kind of correction in the time-wise correction phase, not by the price-wise. But currently in the last 2 trading sessions, again there has been very strong movement in this counter. So overall, from technical perspective, the valuations looks very stretched. But looking at the momentum, one should stay invested with the stop loss placed at yesterday's low, approximately 10,780 or 10,800. Should be acting as a very strong support in this counter. Until the momentum persists, one should stay invested in Bajaj Auto.
Okay, let's take a broader detour into the market. Today, it's a muted day as far as the Lal Street is concerned for the bulls. Only 1,277 stocks are in the green compared with 958 which are in the red. Remember, yesterday was a fairly strong positive move, but today it's a balance of power between the bulls and the bears. Bulls are wanting to retain 25,000 on the Nifty, and the bears are pushing them back by selling into Nifty Bank, which has its weekly expiry today. Amongst indices, Sakshi and I tracked 19 for you. Out of 19, you have 11 in the green, led by the Pharma and the FMCG index, where both of us have marked most stocks that we can count. The mid cap and the small cap index are in the green, although the advanced decline ratio is not as significant as it was yesterday. In terms of volume buzzers, okay, Prism Johnson up 8%. Is this another 20% day? Only Osho can tell us. Mid cap cement player, I am so certain that there is some news on the annual on Prism Johnson, have been marking it from 160 rupee onwards. Osho, to you, another 20% today?
See, I cannot say anything that it should test 20% for the day or not, but looking at the momentum, definitely there is a very strong momentum in this counter. There has been no stopping by. From last day, there was a very strong vertical rally. Today also it is on the zone of vertical rally, so better to, even if someone is investing at current levels, definitely one should trail their stop losses to higher zone, because technically the parameters have been onto the very strong higher note. So I do not expect, if there will be a profit booking, then profit booking should also come in that high quantum. So obviously, if someone is getting the position on the buying side, definitely put a stop loss. As of now, 212, 215 is the support zone where one should trail their profits or keep their stop losses and can buy the position.
Okay, got it. So that's as far as the mid-cap cement space is concerned. Let's look at some other spaces that are buzzing again. I think it's the NBFCs that are further garnering some attention. Yet again, HDFC AMC is among the top movers. Even within the F&O space, you have SBI cards, some momentum is coming back. Some insurance majors are also performing. Bajaj Finserv and Bajaj Finance slightly recovering from yesterday's loss as well. JM Financial is actually sharply up in trade today, about I think 5-7% higher in trade. That's moving too. Within the NBFCs and the brokerage houses spaces, what appeals to you right now, Osho?
See, majorly as the name you have suggested, all the counters were looking very positive, but I have been tracking MFSL in the last trading session, and this counter has been seen in a very strong movement. And today also we are witnessing a very strong movement in this counter. So I expect that from here onwards, this counter can see a very strong breakout. The initial highs of 1150 is just 1 point from here onwards, but I am expecting the time it breaches it, which it did just now. So it can move towards the zone of 1200 on a very decisive manner. So this is also a buy recommendation on MFSL, keeping a stop loss of 1115 for a higher target of 1200 from short-term perspective, might be by tomorrow, kind of a BTST kind of a trade.
Okay, got it. You know what else is moving on? It's coming back from the lows is PSU banks. This index has been a laggard and an underperformer for sure. Every day we do see markets cracking. This is one of the first indices to really show signs of sell-off. Some signs coming back into the green. And some of the stocks right there, PNB, PSB, Bank of Baroda, Bank of India, State Bank of India, Canada, they're all buzzing in mild gains. Does anything look positive to you here, Osho?
No, yeah, as you have mentioned, the counter has already been into a corrective phase. There is a kind of a blip on the intraday perspective that these counters are looking out or have started gaining some traction. But again, from a technical point of view, I will still wait for some decisive movement, maybe for 1 to 2 trading sessions, because there has been no follow-up buying. There has been a lack in follow-up buying in PSU counter. So I will be waiting for 2 to 3 days kind of a continuous buying in these counters. Then if they sustains on the higher zone, then only major players like Canara Bank, SBI, PNB, these counters will come above their corrective phase. Then one can definitely look to accumulate these counters.
Okay, got it. So that's the kind of view that's coming in.
Zomato, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, Shail, please.
Breakout on Zomato, Sakshi, 280. A huge set of block deals have just happened. It's difficult to count the amount. Let me just mark the overall volume that has happened, and a new digit has come in, although midway, which is again a record high of sorts. So 280.9 was when we saw 19th August, and now we've topped out at 281.50. Let us see how it happens. Let me just mark the volume on Zomato from a different software that I have. Okay, already 1022 crores worth of transactions have happened. So I am hoping that you'll see 4000 crores volume on Zomato today. And remember, this has happened at a time when Swiggy has increased its size of the IPO to 3,250 crore rupees. This, ladies and gentlemen, is how the markets are functioning. Let me just also mark other volume buzzers which need to be kept in mind. Okay, Suzlon already on circuit, more than 100% of volume has been traded, 7.5 crore shares, and on the circuit also you see a lot of trade happen. CAMS, okay, this is something that we need to watch out for. This is coming to you, Osho. The entire brokerage AMC space is abuzz. CAMS 3% higher, 4375, and a very, very strong volume show. What are the charts of CAMS telling you?
See, overall, CAMS is into a consolidation phase, but it is hovering near the short-term moving average on the daily time frame. But looking at the recent momentum, there has been a positive crossover, but that will be early to say, because on the sloping trend line, this counter seems to give a breakout around the zone of 4430, 4450 odd zone. So the time it breaches the zone of 4450, from there onwards we can see a decisive up move, because that will be a sloping trend line breakout, and we can definitely see a decent higher zone in this counter. So 4450 is the zone which one should definitely keep an eye on, and the time we see a breakout, there can be a strong movement of approximately 250 to 300 odd points.
Okay, banks all the way, Sakshi. You had marked PSU banks, SBI 0.5% higher. You see a strong move coming into Bank of Baroda, as also Canara Bank. To you, Osho, your view on SBI after this fall, is this a buy zone?
See, overall, for short-term perspective, definitely a not. But from medium-term or investor point of view, one can start accumulating in a staggered manner, because this counter has seen a breakdown from around the zone of 800, and that was on a massive candlestick formation has been formed that has been backed by volumes. So I expect now 800 should be acting as a very stiff resistance. So short-term traders should start accumulating only once it surpasses the zone of 800 on a closing basis. Then one can see a kind of a reversal in the trend for a higher target of nearly 825 to 830 on short-term perspective. But from a longer duration, one can start accumulating this counter, because it is nearing to its 200-day SMA, which is still quite low, near about 750 odd levels. But having a staggered manner of accumulation can be a decent setup for SBI from a medium-term time.
Okay, got it. So that's the view that's coming in. There is a recovery from the bottom as far as the Nifty and the Sensex go. About 229 points is how the Sensex has recovered from the lows of the day. The Nifty is also recovered about 78 points from the lows of the day. It's also the Nifty Bank that's also pulled up almost 4% from the lows of the day as well. So there is a sharp bout of pullback coming into the markets. What is moving? Of course, Pharma is the top moving sectoral index. FMCG continues to be about 0.5% higher. The Nifty next 50 stocks are zoom again 0.5% higher. Within this, it's largely the consumption packed as well as the paint stocks as well. Mid caps are doing well. You also have infra, consumer durables now picking up pace. IT is now flattish with a positive bias. The only 3 to 4 sectors that are still holding lower are autos, oil and gas, realty and metals, and also just flattish trade on private banks that also could be at the brink of turning green. Bajaj Auto is now moved to the top spot of the Nifty, 2.7% higher in trade at 11,281. No stopping this counter. Dr. Reddy's is 1.2% higher. You have Tata Consumer Products, Asian Paints, Bajaj Finance and Sun Pharma as among the top movers right now. Bajaj Auto, first to you, Osho. How would you look at this momentum freshly being generated, and do you see further steam?
Yes, the counter is looking very positive, because there has been a very strong momentum on the buying front. technically the counter is overly stretched because all the parameters are showcasing a very overbought terrain in this counter. But again, it will be advisable that if someone is holding the position, one should stay invested, because such kind of momentum persist in specifically in Bajaj Auto for approximately 2 to 3 trading sessions, and after that it fizzles out its momentum and again sees some kind of consolidation. So I'm expecting that as it has given a fresh breakout, there can be some kind of a strong momentum, and one should keep trailing their stop losses higher so that they can gauge a decent amount of profit in any kind of short-term trades.
Okay, got it. So that's the view that's coming in. Let's again look at the broader markets to see if there are any other interesting names that we can spot right there. Nothing really coming on the radar. We've already marked Prism Johnson. SMS Pharma is another one that's been moving. Goa Carbon we've already marked. Swelect Energy is another one that's been buzzing as well. Nothing really that we can mark from the broader markets. But yes, in the PSE space, there is BEL that's picking up pace. Remember, Gaurang mentioned that he is looking at BEL from the defense space pretty positively. HAL is also now about 0.2% higher in trade. Let's also pull up the rest of the stocks from the defense pack to see if there is some sign of recovery coming in across the board. BEML, Cochin, Mazagon, let's see how are those also performing in trade, if there is any move across the board. No, BEML is down by about half odd 0.4% odd. Let's look at even Cochin. No, it's half odd percent down. So probably only HAL and BL have pulled up in trade. Beyond this, the power space is again back. PFC and REC, they are back in the PSU space too. BHEL is about 0.6% higher. Concor is also up by 0.6%. PSU stocks for you, Osho. Where would you look for momentum here?
Firstly, some of the PSU counters have started gaining some traction from the very important support zone. For example, BEL have started seeing some kind of reversal from the 100 exponential moving average. So in the last 3 trading sessions, I am expecting that this can be a early sign of trend reversal in this counter. So the lows which it has made approximately around the zone of 276, now that should be arguing very well for the buyers, while on the higher end, I am expecting that BEL should test the zone of 300, 305 in the short term period. And the time it breaches the zone of 305, then there can be a sloping trend line breakout in this counter, and definitely the trend reversal can be seen. And on the higher end, 315 to 20 can be seen as the next immediate target for BEL. So this is the counter which is showcasing the initial strength of reversal, and definitely one can try to gauge the momentum with a proper risk management, with a good risk and reward. 276 on the lower end and near about 315 on the higher end.
Okay, got it. Let's again look at some of the other stocks within the F&O space. I think MCX is also on the move, 1.5% higher. Osho, we were discussing all these brokerage houses, exchange-related stocks as well. How would you look at an MCX, which is now at the day's high at 1.7% uptick?
See, again, MCX have seen a very strong vertical rally, and there has been no correction once it started moving from the zone of 4,000 towards 5,400 odd levels. So I expect that if there will be some kind of time-wise corrective phase in this counter, that can be seen very healthy. Currently, technical parameters are into a overbought zone, so not very much aggressive on the higher end. But today's move, if it gets a follow-up buying, then again the immediate hurdle lies around the zone of 5,400. So we need to wait for 5,400 to get reached on the higher end. Then definitely we can see a continuation on the higher end. Else, there is a very strong support near the zone of 5,150, 5,200 odd levels, and on the higher end, 5,400 should be acting as a resilience. So I'm expecting that this should hover in between with buy on dip and sell on rise kind of a strategy for the time.
Okay, got it. Let's also look at some of the other counters. Mid caps are further gaining momentum, about half odd percent higher. Suzlon is of course leading that. 5% uptick for Suzlon at 81.95. Now it's a circuit now. 197 Communications, sharp moves are coming in on Paytm too. 3% higher for this one. And Sona BLW Precision about 2.5% higher for this too. Fortis, BSE, Cummins India, Fact and even Aurobindo Pharma are the other stocks that are moving up. JSW Energy is at a fresh high, 1.3% up again in trade. Several of these stocks that are gaining momentum from pharma, healthcare space, particularly energy basket. These are the stocks. Laurus Labs and Biocon, another ones that are buzzing in trade as well. Let me ask you on Biocon, Osho, how would you look at this counter?
See, pharma space is gaining very strong traction. Biocon, again, comparative to other counters, have not seen that much of a strength on the technical front. So I'm expecting that there can be a gradual up move in this counter, but again, on the higher end, 400 being the psychological mark can provide some kind of resilience for the uptrend in this counter. So I expect 400 to be seen as immediate target for short-term traders, while on the lower end, 375, 380 is a very strong support zone. The counter also have seen a breakout around the zone of nearly 370, 75 odd level. So I'm expecting that to be a positional stop loss. And the time we witness a decisive breakthrough beyond the 400 odd zone, then we can see a further upside trend continuation in this counter for short to medium term time frame.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, let's just change gears and focus on some other sectors that are doing pretty well. I'd like to mark cement. The momentum that is seen in Ramco in the FNO market is worth seeing. All 4 plus 4, 8. All 8 cement counters in the FNO space are doing pretty well. And you have a record high on JK Cement, 1.3% higher in futures. ACC is up 1.1, but the chart shows strength on Ramco. Osho, would you want to comment on Ramco?
Ramco has seen some kind of consolidation near the zone of 830, 840 odd level. So this is a consolidation zone for Ramco. The upward movement can be seen once it breaches the 200-day SMA of 860. So 860, once it surpasses the zone of 860, then we can see a very strong move in Ramco Cement for the coming period towards the higher target of nearly 920 to 940, which is the bearish gap on the daily time frame. So currently it is looking good, but again, there can be some kind of hovering in between the ranges. So on the higher end, 860 can be seen as the resilience for this counter, while on the lower end, 820-25 is a very strong base set for this counter. So definitely buy on dip and sell on rise is advisable for now. But if it breaches the zone of 860 on a decisive manner, then definitely a buy from a short term to medium term time frame.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, 9:55. Let me just mark one other interesting stock, and we've already discussed two in this space, which is the broking and the FMCG space, the broking and the AMC space, MCX as also CAMS. But the rally is across the board, ladies and gentlemen. CAMS is now 3.5% higher. The Bombay Stock Exchange 1.8% higher, 2904. You have amongst the AMCs. Clicking in the green are NAM India, better known as Nippon Asset Management, and HDFC AMC 1.4% higher. Similarly, brokers like Geojit Financial Services, Anand Rathi, Religare, Edelweiss all are in the green. What's slipping on the Nifty? Let's also take a view on that one. Tata Motors. Osho, I'm requesting you to please take a look on this chart. Signs of deterioration creeping in. 5% lower, 984.9. ICICI Bank, nothing to be worried about. ONGC, maybe yes, another 2% lower. But for long term investors or potential investors, this is possibly the juiciest price that you can think of. And of course, Hindalco and M&M slipping a bit. But Tata Motors, this is worrisome, Osho. Charts now pointing to a sustained sell-off from 1079 rupee levels, 984 today, and volumes have already crossed the 5-day average. What are the charts of Tata Motors telling you?
See, a follow-up sell-off post breakdown or post a gap down in heavyweight counters is not very positive for the counter for the time being. But again, 980 is the immediate support for this counter. So the time it breaches 980, then again we can see some kind of further weakness. But I expect that such kind of fall in such big company is very rare. So I expect that if it sustains below 980, then only we can see a further correction towards the zone of 956 to 960 odd levels. But definitely, if there has been a strong follow-up sell-off with in terms of volume, then definitely stay sidelines. Do not be in a worry to or in a hurry to enter the counter from short to medium term investment or trading purpose. Wait for the counter to consolidate, and then one can start accumulating for investment purpose.
Paytm for you, Osho, now about 3.8% higher. No stopping this one, 678 currently. What will you do at this level?
See, Paytm has been into a radar because in the past 5 or maybe 4 months, there has been a cycle of higher highs, higher lows in this counter, and all the lows or all the higher lows are giving a very strong support for this counter. So I'm expecting that on the continuation of the formation that it is having, immediately 700 is the first target that one can definitely expect in the short term perspective. And the time we see a breakthrough above 700, the next potential targets comes around 735. So if there will be any kind of in between blips also, then 625 followed by 600 should be acting as a very strong support. So this counter has been in the cycle of higher highs and has been maintaining it in a very strong manner in the past 4 trading months. So I expect that this should continue on the higher end. 700 followed by 730 can be seen as the target.
All right. Well, viewers, we'll start to wrap up the morning edition right there. Thanks a lot, Osho, for sharing all those wonderful insights with all our viewers. Flattish trade on the Nifty right now. We are holding above 25,000 mark with a 2-point loss right there on the Nifty. Several pockets which are supporting the market move are Pharma, FMCG, the broader markets clearly, the mid and the small caps, the Nifty Next 50, PSU banks, consumer durables. Now even financial services and infra are back into the green. You actually see autos, oil and gas, metals still down in trade, along with realty and private banks, and slight losses being seen on the IT counters as well. Top movers are Bajaj Auto, Dr. Reddy's, Bharti Airtel, Tata Consumer, Sun Pharma and Asian Paints. On the Nifty, you have on the lower side Tata Motors, that's now down 4.8% at 985. ONGC. You also have Hindalco, LTI, Mindtree, Aisha, Wipro as among those which are down in trade. On the FNO side, you have Bajaj Auto as the top mover, Berger Paints, Indus Towers, HDFC Asset Management Company, Cummins India and Godrej Consumer as among the stocks which are actually doing well. On the lower side, you have again Tata Motors, Info Edge, Samvardhan Motherson, Aarti Industries, ONGC as the ones which are dragging right now. What we'll do is we'll wind up at that, but do stay tuned on to Business Today Television as we will continue to track the market move for you throughout the course of the day. With that, it's a goodbye from both Shail and me on this special edition. Stay tuned though.
We have the new iPhone 16 and the iPhone 16 Plus. This one is 6.1 inches, this one 6.7 inches. Hugely popular back home in India. And this is in the new ultramarine color. I must say it is an eye-catcher. But the good news is, if you're asking me about upgrading your iPhone 14 or even 15, then this is it. It now jumps a couple of generations with a chipset with A18 on it, and that means it comes with Apple Intelligence. Much better battery life, of course, because you couple that new Apple Silicon along with iOS 18 and you have these new iPhone 16s built from the ground up with Apple Intelligence. Now, even some of those features, so I'm just going to use one of them right now. This one's obviously a lot more pocketable if you're holding it in your hand. If you just use the 16 Plus, which I think is the ideal size to really use, you now have camera control on this as well. So it's not just a pro feature. You could do a slight double tap over here, change the camera styles. You've got to be a little delicate with it. And then you can do all sorts of things over here as well, right? Now, that is, of course, what I showed you with the Pro and Pro Max. But what if you want to use Apple Intelligence? You want to use it perhaps in your notes. You want to use it to erase an object from a photo. All of that can now happen